share my screen. So, welcome everyone on our bi-weekly Cozystack community meeting. Today is 13th of March. Please put your name into attendance list. I'll put it by myself as well.
Could you send us a link?
Yeah, sure. I will post it into chat. So to be able to edit this file, you have to join this Cozystack dev group, and you will get permissions for editing this file automatically. So I have to repeat that we have Telegram group with community users where you can ask and join when you can join and ask your questions. We also have Slack group in official Kubernetes Slack. And traditionally, I have to ask: is there anybody new on our meeting who didn't introduce yourself before, or who want to put a few words about yourself? It's a good time to do that. All right, and then let's switch to our agenda. And the good news: Cozystack get accepted to CNCF Sanbox. So now we got this amazing logo on our website, and we can be considered as CNCF project. So we're trying to build technology here. That's a really huge step for us. And we really believe that our community will be growing thanks to CNCF as well. The few changes are coming during to this. First, we had to move project to neutral GitHub organization. Now previously it was Aenix, now it is Cozystack, and this organization fully belongs to CNCF as well, all the code and trademarks. Now we are in progress on moving the legal stuff, updating our website and things like so. So in a while, I think the project will be totally accepted. Now just a few things should be done. Also, we are going to update our community meetings. We will not use Google anymore. We will switch to Zoom, integrated with openprofile.dev. This is official CNCF platform for creating such meetings. And also a few other changes. For example, we forced to enable DCO. Sorry for that. I know many people don't like this bot, but we had to first check the commits for DCO compliance. So now it is enabled for all repositories in Cozystack. That's actually it. We will have also a few more news on the next week. That's a little bit secret. So keep updated and take a look for our channel. Now I want to talk about two releases. For past 2 weeks, there were two releases, 0.27, which was mostly improving all of the things from the previous releases. There were a lot of changes for improving performance and various bugs and issues. Also, there were added Cozy proxy. That's a thing which allows you to, that was added previously. Sorry, it was just updated. Now it is also fixed. We updated cluster API version. Now it contains another API for status and machine checks. So be aware if you use tenant Kubernetes clusters, now it might behave slightly different. And the next release we just released today, there were a few new features. First, we moved source IP check from Cilium to KubeVM side. So we were forced to implement webhook, which handling all the requests for creating pods and adding specific annotations for KubeVM for this. This change was actually needed to create the opportunity for creating user-defined routers. Right now, there is no user API for this, but if user wants to have all the traffic go through the specific virtual machine, they can contact their administrator. They will disable source IP check using those annotations on their namespace. And also, there is an opportunity to override routes or adding custom routes per namespace. There is actually documentation. I think it is not merged yet. Something has gone wrong with GitHub. All right. So there should be a documentation page which describes how can you specify custom routes and how can you turn a normal virtual machine to be a router. We had a case where people were establishing site-to-site IPsec tunnel, and they enabled routing between their tenant in Cozystack and their external systems. That was actually the main reason for this feature. Also, a few fixes of etcd operator, Cozy proxy on release. KubeOVN were updated. That's probably it. And now we are working on adding resets for the resources. So every resource in every application and dashboard will have predefined presets for the resources, and there will be an opportunity to choose the size for, okay, let's create Rabbit. It's not deployed yet, but there will be an option for specifying instance type, and it will specify also resources and limits for the creating for the pods. That's actually all the news. Now we are going CloudFest next week. You can join Ænix or Cozystack booth. You can also get free tickets for this event. We just send it this link. I will put it into chat so you can get your free tickets using this referral. This presentation is proven in Rust, Germany. It's a city close to Frankfurt. And there will be a lot of hosting providers, internet service providers. So usually people who build their data centers, I think that will be something interesting. So come on, if you're interested, come on and join us. Thank you. Also, today were a presentation about using WinStore in Cozystack. I just attended a LinkBit community meeting. If you're interested, you can find the link here. Now it is all news. Now we can switch to discussion. We have a few topics to discuss. First topic we would like to discuss is releasing policy and release candidates. I just noticed that sometimes we have releases stable, not stable, stable, not stable. It would be nice to separate it somehow, or maybe create release candidates to let the community test it first. What do you think about this? Actually, I'm not sure about good practices for this. I think the current versioning system is fine. We would like just to, yeah, LTS releases also would be nice opportunity. We were thinking to create LTS releases as well. Yeah, well, we can create few channels for the updating. It could be a stable channel and experimental channel and send versions to them. Timothy?
Yeah, I think we discussed this a couple of meetings ago. Having long-term service releases is a bit harder because now you have to maintain backports to your older versions. But release candidates would really be great because at the moment, the way our version and release pipeline is organized, it's actually really hard to quickly switch between versions of Cozystack without actually building and releasing a proper release. And release candidates would be a nice stopgap solution for that. And they're completely in line with Semver. So I think instead of releasing 26.0, 26.1, and then realizing that we broken something because we missed a bug or something, and now we have to release 27.0. We could have just mitigated this entire problem with the release candidates. You are on mute, Andrei.
My bad, sorry. So we can actually use the same logic for releasing right now. That will not add additional complexity for the releases because we're developing very fast at the beginning. I think in the future we will have some obvious releases, but for now it will add a lot of complexity for supporting different branches. So I think we can, instead of releasing 0.27.0, release 0.27.0 release candidate 1. And after it works fine in 3 days, we can release, instead of releasing 0.27.1, we can release finally 0.27.0. Is that you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Nikita, I have a question. What about dev and stable minor versions? Like even one if is dev and even is stable. That might be interesting solution, but to be honest, I really don't like this idea to not go similar versioning. The reason for this, just take a look at MariaDB releases. They have really weird numbering, or OpenSUSE releases. They have 020 or 42. This is stable, and 100 something is not stable. Jochen says, but how many entities have possibility to test RC release candidate exclusively? What do you mean by this?
No, I mean extensively. That means all features or everything.
Yeah, just thinking that some people are using a Cozystack and they want to get just stable system and they don't want to update with no reason. But some of them were willing to get really some interesting features from new releases, and they'll be able to update dev clusters earlier to release candidate versions. I think those who need the new features, they will use release candidates. We can wait for a few time until somebody reports some problems or issues, and then release normal release. Lack of beta testers. Yeah, that's true. Since we joined to CNCF, I think CNCF will provide us hardware for testing this as part of pipeline. We would need somebody who could help us to configure such system. Actually, I have no experience how is it done. I guess that will be Pro with Infrabot bot of Kubernetes organization. So we just need to request some resources. I already sent requests to CNCF. Let's wait, and I think we will improve automatic tests and run them in part of pipeline. right, let's talk about GPU implementation. Currently, we're also working on adding GPU support for virtual machines. Actually, the guy who's developing it not attend this meeting, but I can pass some information that there is a requirement for adding NVIDIA drivers in Talos Linux image. I think we will add it by default. And add extra configuration for enabling this feature. Then there will be a NVIDIA device plugin and additional component which scans PCI devices and reports that on exactly on those nodes there is a video card which you can use. There is no updates, so just letting you know that currently we switched to working for GPU support. The next question, traces in Cozystack. We got some community requests for adding traces. And actually, as about me, I have no experience with traces at all. So I would like to come and ask the community if you have any experience with traces. Maybe you know some good solutions for this.
Hey, is it question?
Yeah. If you have any experience with traces, please share some solutions which we can consider for including into Cozystack. Or any ideas, should we
Guys.
include traces or not?
I see a lot of replies. So from Evgeny, he is supposing Jaeger. I don't like to call it Jaeger, but Jaeger. Sentry is nice, but Sentry is more for like developers than for users. And it's not about traces, but probably more for like for exceptions. So we can leverage it for our development purposes, but I don't think that it would be very good for users. So here we need like to decide what we want from traces at all. So would we put the system components data, like, I don't know, API service tracing, tracings of system components, operators, I don't know, anything else? Or would we provide an all-in-one monitoring solution for business applications that would be deployed in tenant clusters? So more from my point of view, Sentry no, Tempa no, Jaeger no, and probably we need to wait till Victoria will implement a proper storage for traces, which would be nice and effective, or otherwise find some other solutions, probably like Kurin. Yeah, Evgeny, Otel is also nice, but Otel is about transport, not about storage. So we care more about storage right now. So I think Kurin would be probably now the best choice for storage of traces that we can afford at this moment, at least. Evgeny states that storage for tracing is not the task for Cozy. Then we can like say the same for monitoring and metrics maybe. Andrei, what do you think?
All right, I'm on the mute again. I think this is really a good idea to think, do we really need to have traces for our infrastructure components? Because our current monitoring implementation allows you to monitor only system components. It is not intended to use for tenant clusters. I think we should consider adding additional monitoring add-on for tenant clusters to let users configure their own alerts and their own Grafana. That can be actually part of our monitoring chart, but installed inside of tenant cluster.
Difficult decision. So to be honest, from my point of view, probably the like the most useful thing that we can do right now with monitoring is to switch from alert-based monitoring to SLA-based monitoring, which is provided by solutions like Coreroot. So, regard with this, traces could be very nice for system components in case of some complex debug or performance issues.
How did you say a switch from alert-based monitoring to
To SLO-based monitoring.
SLO?
Yes, so when we're not defining some thresholds for every part of the system, but rather we are defining some nice and understandable level of service. So let's say, should we care in case of outage of one bare metal node? Probably yes, but not immediately, because you should not wake up some engineer on duty to immediately replace a bare metal node if your business applications or infra applications are working well. You need to care about it only in connection with if the next bare metal node will be down, you are done. And you need anyway to do it, to fix it somehow, but not right now, but in some time in future.
Agree. I have a question. Can actually Coderoot replace Victoria Magic Stack and Grafana Stack? Or we still need it for collecting business alerts? Or can it be integrated somehow with it? If I remember well, it is somehow interacting with eBPF and have some presets for various applications like Postgres.
Yes, it's very nice tool. Really, I'm using it, and it proved its credibility. Yeah, so I found a lot of issues that could not be easily found otherwise with typical Grafana dashboards. But in question is how it could be useful for monitoring Cozystack itself, particularly if we are using some entities like virtual machines, because eBPF won't give any observability on what's going inside virtual machines. So you will only monitor processes on the Talos nodes.
Timothy?
I reckon it would actually be a really nice feature if our users could deploy tracing or, in fact, other kinds of monitoring tools with a click of a button. And that would give us a competitive edge because even major cloud providers don't really offer a comprehensive solution. There's still lots and lots of stuff that you need to configure, even if you're using, say, managed Prometheus or CloudWatch logs or whatever in AWS. It's still not a turnkey solution. And if we could make a comprehensive app, just like we have Kubernetes deployed at the click of a button, and we could also have some sort of logging solution, monitoring solution, tracing solution that also deploys at the click of a button, that would be a really good feature to boast about.
I really like this idea. I think what we have to do is to decompose our monitoring application to various set of applications. And we can have separated Grafana storage for metrics, storage for logs, and automatically configure Grafana to access those storages.
I think it's a good idea.
Because somebody likes using Victoria metrics, somebody likes to use Loki, somebody likes to use VM logs. So I think we should provide such choice. For now,
I'm not sure that it's a good thing. I will explain why. So if we are talking about Cozystack metrics, itself, the metrics of the platform, we should stick to the best solution that we can afford and we can provide to users. So it would be a part of platform. yes, we can provide users options to install some additional things, but from my experience, Grafana stack like Loki is really terrible. So I found a very nice statement about Loki. So it on GitHub of Loki, of course. So stating that it consists more than of 23 microservices with more than 400 configuration settings. It stopped to be a solution that is easy to deploy and use. It's like a monster, to be honest. Victoria Metrics, I like it much more because it's ready to go solution without necessity to tune like dozens of parameters, and dozens of parameters are issue for us because if user will want to have an option to change them and user will want to do it, it would mean that we will have a combinatory explosion of all possible settings combinations, and it would be a mess to support all of them. So we need to provide probably the simplest way to achieve the user's goal. Like user wants, so what is the issue? User don't want to use a Victoria metrics. User wants to see a metrics in some nice interface and correlate metrics with logs, with traces, and yada, 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 and have an option to investigate issues in the fastest way.
That makes sense. I totally agree on that. We provide a ready solution and we should have ready monitoring stack.
Yes.
As about traces, I really like idea of Timothy. I think we can introduce this as separate application and maybe add short integration into Grafana to automatically add it as data source, but nothing else. Or even, yeah, that can be really simple. We just need to create one YAML in Kubernetes and it will appear in Grafana data source. So let's implement it as separate application and then take a look. And if we want to separate the existing monitoring application also into different storages. All right, anybody else? In this way, let's talk about documentation improvements. Sometimes we get requests from the community, and we would like to know if you used Cozystack, which are parts of the documentation was not very clear for you. So we will work on the improvements for this. Please share your experience. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I see when I deployed the clusters, I see a lot of what is not understandable if I'm coming from the bare metal infrastructure. So if you coming from this environment, there is a lot of questions. So because how some things is not clear because you think if you should stick with something or you have a lot of options or something, a lot of small things, it will be better that, for example, there is a question, you know, a few days ago about virtual machines and traffic to them. And the one picture about that flow, because people coming from enterprise environments, then they want simple things that traffic to virtual machine was available via VLAN externally out of cluster. No other load balancers, all that. And simple picture of the flow, how it will be going traffic to the virtual machine and back, and the same with all these pods. This will easier this understanding for people coming from, not from cloud, which are still not perfect in pure cloud, because this is different approaches. And I also happy that I'm changing the topic that you mentioned about that you're already thinking about VPC functionality, because we talked with that with Evgeny today, and because it's sort of like evolutionary also. There is a PBLM, it's very powerful, but there is a very little documentation of about it in Cozystack, but at least there will be some diagrams showing how it integrated in Cozystack. It will be easier to understand what features are used in Cozystack of this whole package, or what features not used, because it's either you have to go to full documentation Kubernetes and try to guess if it's what of that is using and what of that is not using, and how it's working, and so on. And I actually ready to help because I really like to talk, and sometimes I find some typos and so on, and I can mention these inconsistencies, or I can fix it, or submit something in documentation part as well, or because
that's very good contribution for you. Thank you. We will definitely consider that. And that's true that people are coming from traditional virtualization platforms like Proxmox, OpenNebula, VMware, and the organization for networking and for virtual machines is different in our case. And we should clearly describe how it is working.
And also most important try to describe it. Your approach was that everything should be from Kubernetes, it's the declaration way. And sometimes it's not so aligned with a simple approach of the ClickOps, right? And here we need to understand, to describe that you should not think about ClickOps, you should think about that and why it is better and what, and so on and so on, because and also I will tell you that Talos is also adding some level of complexity, because some such all that means they want to see, if they don't understand what's going inside of Cozystack, they are happy to SSH to host and look what's going on, what's the rules installed in network, where is addresses, where is that, and actually, I don't know, maybe it's my personal opinion, maybe you don't have other request about that, but I understand that Talos is a very cool idea about if you deploying in not your hardware, but if you deploy in your hardware and you need to get understanding what's going on, the Talos is like it's limiting your capabilities quickly to check what's going on under the hood. But
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting you because your point of view is really interesting. We are a cloud provider, and since the beginning, we start with CentOS and do a lot of troubleshooting based on the OS. And then the main problem, that's the time, you know, how you spend on this to troubleshoot and trying to find what's figured out on your server. And more the time is passing, we are moving to Talos and all GitOps infrastructure and infrastructure as code, etc. And less it's simple because you cannot just troubleshoot, but just manage the configurations. That's true. It's more difficult to find the problem, but better you use and you know the documentation and the whole API and description you can find on Talos or Neos or whatever, more you can describe the best configuration as possible. And I understand it's quite difficult to have the best way between doing manually and doing by ops, by code, in fact.
Yeah, I think Talos has really high level for get in, but after you found the correct configuration, you can distribute it very quickly.
Yeah, I agree, because Talos actually also evolves quite quickly, and when I deployed the cluster in December or in November test, I felt that I have no some functionality, and now they already have this functionality. So you have to track Talos development separately if you want to get understanding what's going on. It gives more features, but anyway, maybe some people. I opened the roadmap and found that you consider that make the Cozystack for the Debian, and but in far future for another distributions like that.
Yeah, we were thinking about this Cozystack
Yeah.
for various distributions, but I'm not sure if this will be even. Not sure if it will be Debian. This actually feature required for enterprise users because sometimes they can't use Talos Linux.
Yeah.
In our case, for now, Talos Linux is the way for hard code Linux kernel modules and operating system configuration to be expecting that it is working the same way as in our side and the same way in our users.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question also. What is the strategy of the deploying the DRBD? So now, if you're deploying this way storage, if I understood, we have a copies of data on every node. So the permanent storage simply mirrored to all nodes which were participating in particular storage, not volume, but maybe something like that. So if you have 20 nodes, so it will be also mirrored, or it will be more effective usage of the storage?
GRBD will create replicas across all of your nodes. So if you have 10 nodes and you have a replication factor 3, it will take 3 random nodes from your cluster and place the data there. If your workload will be running outside of those 3 nodes, it will create diskless replica, which will be like iSCSI, which will just redirect IO for them. But we don't use DRBD for everything. We use it for user data, for user VMs and user PVCs requested from the Kubernetes. For database as a service, we use normal ZFS and LVM volumes. That allows us to do almost native performance without replicated storage. We fully rely on database replication.
Quick question on Drew. Oh, sorry.
So I apologize. Also, I will end. So I understand, but if that was mentioned in documentation, that's why this we are returning to documentation. That's how to get understanding that for database we are not using as a user. You are reading the Cozystack docs. You are deploying, and where it's mentioned that the database is not using this replicated storage. This is very important for us because now we understand that it's the storage is used more efficiently. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you for your input.
Quick question on Drew about the storage. Did you already put in place the replication of the data based on the tag or not yet? I saw the commit, but I'm not sure it was in production or in the latest version.
For now, we didn't handle this for in Cozystack configuration, but we added documentation. How can you achieve this?
Okay.
So we have multi-data center, and there are a few pages. How can you tune etcd timeouts because they also have to be tuned? How to configure kube scheduler for splitting replicas across the data centrums. And actually, as about linstore, there should be probably didn't merge it yet. I will check it. But there should be configuration for how to configure linstore to spread replicas across the different zones.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. That should be great.
That's so weird. I was thinking that we were solving this.
Yeah, that was my point. I think it was planned already in some kind of issue, but not sure it was done.
Okay, we will check that. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Timofey had hand raised.
Yeah, I had some thoughts on the topic before about Talos and not being able to SSH into a node. Because I understand the gripes of Yoga, and I also have this muscle memory sometimes that, okay, something's wrong, I need to get onto the host and check it out. And I guess if we're going to be these kinds of ambassadors of everything as code, everything as an API, and we sort of are already if we're promoting Talos as the default platform for Cozystack, it would be like you said, it would be really helpful where we can really document well how to debug it. Yes, and probably we need to go above and beyond providing examples in the documentation, like and showing our users actually how brilliant and much more convenient it is to have modern monitoring instruments that will tell you much faster what might be wrong with this or that node. But this will take a lot of work in the documentation.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe it might be easier to prepare a talk about how to debug Talos Linux and our experience of debugging Talos Linux. Georg had raised.
Yes, I wanted to
hand.
mention that it's not an issue of Cozystack, but probably it's rather issue of Talos itself, where we are lacking good documentation and good examples. So the issue is not that the Talos is like bad solution. It's a different. And as Timofey mentioned, we have like established approaches, yeah, like, oh, something is wrong. Oh, I need to go to SSH to node. It's not like a good approach, yeah, but what we learned a lot of time ago and we used it many times, so it became natural for us, but it does not mean that it is a proper way how to debug issues.
Sometimes
Mateo?
it might be easier to contribute to Cozystack or to Talos Linux documentation how to debug it. Yes, please, Matthew. You were
Yeah,
next.
I think it was just regarding the monitoring and logging. When you can find where is the problem, why with the log or the monitor or the metrics, that's the best way. And then you can reconfigure your Talos or Talm configuration to fix it. That's completely agree with you, George, to this, to do everything as code and change the mentality about doing everything by SSH.
As about SSH, we have really nice plugin. Actually, I use it every day for debugging things. It actually allows you to get root shell into Talos as well. It's a little bit more difficult because it runs container, but it has full privileges, so you can communicate directly with container, the C groups and things like so. Just take a look to serial node shell if you're looking simple way to get this SSH to the node. Sometimes it might be useful. Yes, Jochen, please, you were next.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to thank you for your suggestions that maybe the key idea that I try to become more focused, that on the bare metal, you need to see that even if the, for example, disk is failing. So maybe SSH is not requirement at least, but you need to see on one screen or maybe either that kernel messages that if it's, the headway is memory failing, the ECC errors begin to raise or something like that, because, and at least because of if you're in cloud and you don't bother and you can say, oh, okay, deactivate this node and activate the next. But if you are owner of the hardware, then you know that you will not swap the immediately node. You try to guess what is the reason, what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I think Talos Linux already has a lot of APIs for reading DMAs to see the device state and do that through the API. I think we have to improve monitoring application for also collect the DMS logs into Grafana. So most of the things will be accessible through the Grafana dashboard. But we probably need to think which things are required for adding there. I would really hope that sometimes we will add Kubernetes events into collection into Victoria metrics logs as well. Nikita, you're next.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one possibility to use any distribution you want. It is using a bundle. It is path hosted, if I remember correctly. So you just use any distribution you want. You just set up Kubernetes any way you want, and you deploy Cozystack into an existing Kubernetes cluster and maintain distribution and Kubernetes updates on your own.
Yeah, but there might be a lot of issues with kernel modules.
Of course. Yeah, and I think that implementing pure Kubernetes distribution based on Cozystack would be a huge work. So there are two major distributions like Debian and CentOS, and there are lots of versions need to be tested. Lots of Kubernetes versions needs to be tested. So that would be a huge work, and I believe that could be offloaded to customers who want that. So they could bring some experience. Maybe.
What I was thinking is to baking distros into immutable images. So actually you can take Ubuntu or CentOS, you can bake immutable image from it with all needed stuff installed and update it through the Pixie. Just like our previous project, KubeFarm, it was working like that. So the image was loading into RAM. And after reboot, it will just download new image and we'll use the image building process was done using ordinary Docker file. So it would be nice to have such a thing in Cozystack. The only problem is that vanilla distros, they don't provide you easy way for get Kubernetes installed on them. Or maybe at least I don't know good solutions. I know there is K3S, but if I remember well, it does not provide you high available configurations. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
From my point of view, K3S is more like a playground and not a production-ready solution. But I heard of fellows that are using it. But
You're right.
It's questionable if we can rely on K3S in serious production.
Yeah, I agree. Another option was to bootstrap cluster using Talos Linux, then bootstrap tenant clusters and let them join hardware nodes in this proposal. So we can have Pixie server, we can bootstrap bare metal nodes, and they will get joined automatically to the tenant Kubernetes clusters with all the stuff needed and installed inside.
But there is always a hardware management. So when you bare metal, you have additional network cards, their drivers, their card tuning, and a lot of options if you want to get all of performance from hardware.
Yeah, in bare metal, every web server is different. I totally understand. That was the reason we developed Talm project and Talos Bootstrap, because there should be an easy way for storing multiple Talos configurations and update them. By the way, we were also thinking for moving Talos Bootstrap, our beautiful shell script. Beautiful, I say, because it is really difficult to maintain. For adding UI for Talm, but still don't think about the design for this UI. When I'm talking about UI, I don't mean it should be some web interface or the GUI application. I'm more likely talking about TUI application, which works right in terminal, but provides simple way for trying and also writing configuration Actually, it will store the configuration the same way like Talus Bootstrap. I really want to duplicate Talus Bootstrap script and add this functionality into Talm. If somebody interested in that, just let us know. I think we can also working on that together. We would like to get some design.
Sorry, Andrew. Do you think it's really relevant at the status of this project to have a web interface just to scale physical nodes or VM nodes? I think it's the solution we have with Talm or PLC is really nice now, and I think it's enough to scale. But we need to improve a lot of other tasks in parallels. No, in terms of priority, I mean, I think the idea is good, but just in terms of priority, not sure it's the top priority to have a GUI or a CLI to maintain and manage this.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't talking about adding web interface for Talm. I was thinking of adding something like Talm interface like this. So let users who are not very familiar with Talus Linux yet to simply try our platform. Actually, I think it can be simply automated and added. It can actually generate Talm files, which can then be used and managed in decorative way. All right, that's it. We probably have no time for checking pull requests. Or 7 minutes left. Let's watch it for them. No new pull requests for review. Bug scrap. All right, we got your major request for the traces and logging already answered. In this way,
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. In this way, does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I missed the starting part of the meeting. What about rights for Cozystack repository? Would they be inherited in the new organization?
For now, we moved Cozystack to neutral repository because of the CNCF compliance. So Ænix no more owns this project, this code, and those trademarks. You can see on the website. We also changed it. Copyright that right belongs to Cozystack authors. That was part of the task for satisfy CNCF compliance. So now Cozystack turns to be fully community managed project, and there might be more people. Yeah, if you interested for giving enterprise support for Cozystack, you are also feel free to add your company here. So this is part of Cozystack of CNCF compliance. The Cozystack itself and all related projects get moved to the neutral organization. Now this organization belongs to CNCF, and as well all the code now belongs to CNCF. That's it.
And what about the repository permissions? So if I had some permissions previously, would they be inherited?
We still need to invite all the members. I can invite you as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, if anybody wants to contribute, actually expecting if you already contributed some, so we can add your you to the GitHub organization.
Oh, I see myself.
All right.
That's cool. Okay.
I have to switch it somehow. Hey, I will check it out later. I will add you here. And one of the things I want to say, if you belong to this organization, you can also switch to Cozystack, people, and now you can also switch visibility for your, no, it's not here. You can actually update visibility for yourself in this project. And if you go to your profile, anybody will see that you're participating in Cozystack.
If you go back just one page, so you can see in the left in a bar that your membership is public.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So if you set private, by default it's private. Nobody sees that you belongs to this group. If you want to make it public, you're free to do this. All right. Any other questions? In this way, going once, going twice. And thank you for attending our community meeting. See you in 2 weeks. If you go to CloudFest, see you on the next week. Please attend our booth, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you,
Enjoy the
folks.
roller coasters.
Have a nice
Yeah.
evening.